Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening, taking time out of your busy schedules. My name is Cindy Novich. I live in Dover, Massachusetts, and I'm going to be sharing some information along with two of my colleagues, Shondalyn Anderson and Chesley Large. And we want this to be very fun and interactive. We're going to be talking about tower gardens, aeroponic growing, and the whole food nutrition with Juice Plus. So I am going to share my screen and we will get going. Okay. Okay. So, oops, 1 second, guys. I got to do one more thing. Here we go. Okay, so tonight we're going to focus on simply fruits and vegetables. So inspiring healthy living and how you can make one simple change, and then that builds on to another chain of change and another change. When you make these healthy changes, they just keep growing and getting better and better, so you have a healthier life. So I'm so happy you guys joined us, and we're going to share all this information with you, like I said, about the aeroponic growing systems with Tower Garden and the whole food nutrition with Juice Plus. And at the end, we'll have time for Q&A, and we'll do a drawing for some fun prizes. So pay attention. And there will be some fun ways that you can enter the contest. So first, there's the chat that you can put in your name, where you're from, who invited you. And then tell us one thing that you do for your health, you know, something like exercise, eating, do you garden? What is it that you like to do? And then feel free to write questions in the chat, or again, you can ask them at the end. The other thing I want to point out, if, you know, after you learn all this information, you're excited about getting started with any of the products, Tower Garden or Juice Plus, we've got some gifts to give you, and that starts this evening up until midnight on April 16th on Sunday. So we will we'll share with you more about what that is at the end. So the Tower Garden is the future of growing, and you're going to see live Tower Gardens. We're going to show you those too. But first, just want to introduce that you're going to grow your produce, you know, indoors or out. It's 98% less water, 90% less space, 30% more yield. So it grows super fast, and it's safe and nutritious. And I personally think it's the most nutritious and delicious food I've ever had, even more than an organic farmer's market. It's just, you're growing your own food and having control over it. So there's the Tower Garden Home on the left that is a little bit smaller. Shondalyn will share more with you about that, but it's something that you can grow indoors primarily. And then the one on the right is the Flex, and that can be grown indoors or out. And if you're growing indoors, you would add lights and a few other things to that. So let's go to this next slide, I think. And it's not going. Bear with me. I am frozen. Shoot. I'm going to move and see if I have to get closer to, excuse me. Is anybody able to hear me? See me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you and see you.
See you.
Okay, but this is not. See if I can, I don't know why it's not working. I can't even hit escape and get rid of this. Oh, here we go. Okay, sorry guys. Let's try that. Well.
Tower Garden's state-of-the-art aeroponic vertical garden system uses both water and air to produce more colorful, better-tasting, and incredibly nutritious fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Tower Garden has a 20-gallon reservoir at its base that stores the Tower Tonic nutrient solution. Developed by experts in plant and human nutrition, Tower Tonic Mineral Blend enables superior plant growth and better nutrition from your Tower Garden produce. The process begins once the seedlings have been placed in your tower garden. Here they will be nourished with Tower Tonic nutrient solution. Inside the reservoir is a small, low-wattage submersible pump. The pump pushes the nutrient solution up through the tower to the top. From there, the nutrient solution drips through the central tower using a special device that evenly cascades the solution over the exposed plant roots. On the journey down the tower, the nutrient solution feeds the roots and becomes highly oxygenated as it cascades gently down the reservoir. This process is continuous, providing fresh oxygen, water, and nutrients to the roots of the plants. This patented aeroponic process enables food crops to grow faster than they would in soil, so they can be harvested more often. And it makes Tower Garden the healthier, easier, smarter way to grow your produce.
Not again. All right, and now I just want to quickly go over, I hope you like that, the Juice Plus products, because this combines really nicely with growing your own food, which is a very simple way of adding more whole food nutrition into your diet. Juice Plus has been around for 30 years, and that was just celebrated this spring. And it's 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries that are harvested at the peak of ripeness. And then the produce is pulverized, it's not juiced, it's dried into powders at low temperatures to preserve the nutrition. And then it's put into a capsule or a chewable. It's the very easy to take, whether you would swallow the capsules or you can put them in food or a smoothie. And then we have the orange bottle there, which is the full spectrum of omegas. And we bypass the fish and you get the omegas from algae, berries, and seeds. So this is what is in Juice Plus. And if you want to just take a minute and look at this and see how many of these items you ate today, feel free to put that in the chat if you want. And just so you know, and maybe you already know this, we are supposed to have 10 to 13 servings now of fruits and vegetables a day. 10 to 13 servings, and a serving is the size of your fist. So that's because a lot of toxins are in our air, in our water, in our food, and we don't have control over that. So the more plants you get into your diet, it helps detox from all the harmful things that are out there. So, so I love the rainbow of everything you're getting with the Juice Plus. And then these are those plant-based omegas. So it's great for heart, brain, joints, skin, eyes, and many more things that they're studying. They bypass the fish, so it makes it sustainable. We're saving the fish in the oceans because the algae is used for the omega-3, and it's that full spectrum of 5, 6, 7, and 9. So you get all those cold pressed seeds that are really healthy for you, and it helps, you know, make sure that you get these every day into your system. And this is our macronutrition. So the other was the micro, this is the macro. So it's our complete shakes. I do this every day as a meal replacement, or it can be as a pre or post workout, but it's vegan, non-GMO, gluten and dairy free, 13 grams of protein, 8 grams of fiber, and it's low glycemic. So anyone can take this. And it's got 14 other plants in it. So when you're combining the Juice Plus with a shake, you're flooding your body with almost 44, 48 plants, aside from what you might make in your smoothie. And this is our newest product. It's the Juice Plus Perform, and it's got 25 grams of protein, so double what the Complete has. A lot of people are using it as a post-workout. The B vitamins for mental performance and energy production. The beetroot and tart cherry helps aid with recovery. And 100% of your daily vitamin D to support bone health, which many of us are lacking. I know I am definitely lacking that. So, and it's in a fruity flavor. So a lot of people just mix this up with water for on the go. So this is how the Juice Plus stands out. Number one, it's food. It has a food label. So it's not a multivitamin. When you open it, there's no safety cap on the label, on the lid, and there's no warning label. It's very different than a multivitamin. Non-GMO, vegan, kosher, and dairy and gluten-free. And then it has an NSF certification that is explaining that what is on the label is in the product, nothing more, nothing less. and it tests for any banned substances. So any athlete can have this if, you know, if they're a high-end athlete. All the US athletes that are working out at the US Performance Center in North Carolina, they are all getting our products now. So it's very exciting because it's super clean and healthy and helps them to recover and perform better. And the last thing is that Juice Plus is the most researched product in the world. We're at 47 clinical studies, and that is growing. And the research has been done on cardiovascular health, brain health, eye health, skin health, cancer, diabetes, so many things. So you know that you're putting good things into your body, and it really supports a healthy immune system. So many of us that take this are rarely sick. And so actually here, I'm going to stop the share, and I would love for Chesley, if she's available and it's still light outside, to share her tower garden. And just tell us a little bit, Chesley, about, you know, planting and what you like to do with it.
Yeah, sorry for standing. So because it's been raining here, so I really don't want to get my butt wet right now. So, but this right here is our tower garden, and I'm gonna move my iPad a little bit closer in so you guys can see it a little bit better. But this one is called the Flex. So this is an indoor and outdoor tower garden system. So I was just going to show the seedlings that we have so far. Take these out. So I couldn't find my little clips, but if you guys can see that a little bit here. So we're growing some basil, different kinds of herbs, basil, parsley, right now. And then we also did some tarragon before. The basil and parsley really grew really well. It did so well that I'm making pesto out of my basil and then chimichurri out of the parsley. So it's great. And the great part about getting the tower garden, it gives you a little seed. And I never can say this name right, but this is the good sprinkle stuff that you put on top of the seeds to help. And then you have the little baskets that you put the seedlings in, the rock wool in. So I forgot to mention that. So this is called rock wool. So it's no dirt. It's very easy. I'm not a gardener. That's why I like this. So it's very easy. I don't have a green thumb. I kill a cactus plant. So, so as you can see here, so that's kind of our top part right there. It might turn on in a second, and this is our cage on the outside. So we actually have, we decided to grow bok choy, and we have chard. And then we also have lettuce growing as well. And then we have some cherry tomatoes. So the nice thing about this is what Cindy was saying is that it is less water, it grows faster. So this has actually been in our tower garden for 3 weeks this Saturday. And then the great thing is it has a automated pump that waters itself. So if you forget to water your plants, hey, you don't have to worry about this. If you go out of town for a few days, you don't have to worry about that. So, and in the South, it gets hot. So I was not worried about this, and it did great. And this is on my back porch all day in the summertime until when it gets a lot colder, then we brought it inside, and then we put the lights on, and it did great then too. So I can tell the difference with how things taste just from eating a salad at a restaurant or going to a friend's house and having a salad there. It just does not taste as good. So it's just so much better out of a tower garden.
I love it. And your plants are brand new. You just planted those from seed, right? And put them, they were big enough then to put into the tower. So one thing to point out, since it's raining there, is that even though it's raining, you don't shut off your water system on the tower garden, because as you saw in the video, the roots are what need to be flooded with the watering system. So even if it's raining, you want to keep that on, and the pump adjusts on its own to what it needs to do. So awesome. Thank you, Chesley. And now I thought we could go to that Chesley's in Georgia. Now we're going to go to Virginia, and Shondalyn can unmute and share her tower garden. She's growing the indoor one.
So I have the indoor, the home version, which is a smaller version. It's got a 13-gallon reservoir at the base of it. And it's compact. It's about a 2.5-foot circumference as far as the space that it takes up. So mine is actually sitting in a corner right now, and it's great because everything grows vertical. But what I really love about the tower garden is I've been growing in them for 3 years now, and I cannot tell you the last time I actually bought lettuce from a store or herbs from a store. Or cherry tomatoes, anything that I can grow on my tower garden, I grow. And it's great in the summertime because I have the option to grow more. I have 5 of them, so they all get loaded up with plants, and I have produce that doesn't do well inside growing outside. So things that are flowering that need pollination from the bees and that sort of thing gets grown outside. And then the self-pollinating plants I grow inside, but I like growing my lettuces and herbs inside all year round. It's the cleanest produce. I don't know, I love cilantro, but when you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch of cilantro, it is loaded with sand, just dirt. It's just gritty. And so here I just walk up to it and I snip on it, and then I put it right on the plate. Sometimes I don't even wash it. So it just depends on, if I feel like I need to wash it because the dogs have been running around the room too much. But Vince is always asking me, "Are you going to wash that?" I'm like, "No, why? It's clean." So, and it does taste good. You're picking it at the peak of ripeness, and it's vine ripened, and it does make a huge difference in the taste, even differentiating from organic. And the other thing that I like is the cost effectiveness of it. You could buy a package of Swiss chard seeds for about $4 and some odd cents. And you could grow one plant of Swiss chard will grow for 6 months. You're just picking the leaves off of it. So it's probably a good 6 months before I'm putting a new plant in. And I have at least 50 seeds in that package. Well, if you go to the grocery store, you can buy a bunch, which is probably about 8 sprigs of organic Swiss chard, and it's the same cost as what you would spend on the package of seeds. And once you eat those sprigs, they're gone. Where this is, I always say that tower garden is the gift that keeps giving. You can go over and over and over and pick from that same plant over and over, time and time again, before you actually have to pull it. Now, some of them you don't get to pull that often, but my Swiss chard, I leave in my tower garden for that long before I'm putting a new plant in. So
I love it. Shondalyn, are you able to move back by your tower? Are you on your computer? Could
I'm
you
on my computer. Let's see what it does here. I turn the light off because it's really hard to see.
It's so beautiful and full. So I think you have to talk so we can see you. Shondalyn, can you say something?
Yeah, if I didn't hit the mute button. So there's my tower garden, and it's got lettuces and tomatoes. I've got some Brussels sprouts in there, and some endive and chives and kale, just a whole bunch of different things. And I planted this in mid-January. So we pick off of this all the time, and we're eating off of this.
Shondalyn?
Yes.
Hi, it's Doug. So one other attribute I would just insert into your story is the shelf life item, which, you buy something from the store and it's got, maybe 4 days of shelf life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that's a huge benefit. I think also with plants you grow in the tower garden, you don't have that shelf life issue where you say, oh, if this thing is wilting, I'm gonna have to throw it away because I didn't use it in time, right?
I always call those 2 bins in the bottom of my refrigerator the graveyard where vegetables go to die. And so, but what I've noticed with the Tower Garden, like when we go away at Christmas, Betty comes over and she takes care of my Tower Gardens. But I will pick a lot of the lettuce and I'll put it in a bag and squeeze all the air out of it. And when we come back 3 weeks later, that lettuce is still like it's brand new. And I open that bag up and I chop it up and we eat it. But it's amazing how long the shelf life is. But when you think about produce that you buy from the store, they pick it so far in advance so that it looks pretty for you to buy it when it gets to the store, but it didn't have a chance to develop all the nutrients. And it's already started dying by the time we're here. I'm just picking it as we need it. So it does last a lot longer. We don't know how long they pick lettuce before they put it on the shelves and how long it sits there before it goes bad. So, but I do think that the shelf life is fantastic with the Terra Garden because you're picking it as you need it. And then if you have an overabundance, like what Chesley said, I mean, I'm drying those herbs, I'm freezing those herbs, I'm making pesto and freezing it, I'm giving away bags of herbs. And so there's so many different things that you can do. I mean, I've stopped buying some of these herbs in the grocery store because I just dry them out at the end of the season and put them in my spice jars. And the color is very different than the spices that you buy in the store. It's so green when I'm drying them out. It's not, that murky color green like what you see in your bottles. It's like a vibrant green. So anyway, but yeah, there's lots of cost saving. The nice thing is they price the Terra Garden out over 12 months. And so, you're paying it on payments. So it's about the cost of a bag of groceries, really. But when you think about the groceries that you're growing on that Tower Garden that you're saving, I mean, organic produce alone has gotten so expensive. Just a head of lettuce is like $5. That's crazy. And then it's not even that big a head of lettuce. But when you think about what you can grow and the cost that you can, the savings that you can save each month from growing in the Tower Garden, it more than pays for itself. I'd say my first Tower Garden paid for itself within 6 months.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, I've been growing mine for 8 years. So that paid its way a long time ago. And you have how many Tower Gardens, Shondaland?
I have 5.
She's addicted.
I'm addicted. And I have raised beds. So I'm just like, you know what? I can't grow in the Tower Garden, goes in the bed. But I will say it grows much better in the Tower Garden.
And you did a comparison, which
I did.
will I think go ahead. What was that?
Oh, that wasn't me.
Oh, Chesley, was that you?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna mention too, with the raised beds. I don't want to like brag. Well, brag even more on the Tower Garden, but I will. But so my neighbor up the street planted a garden last summer, and she hardly had anything grow on her garden. I was like, oh well, in my Tower Garden, I already have all this stuff that started happening so much sooner. And then she spent so much time doing all that gardening and nothing came out of it. So, and another thing too with the herbs that for me, I got frustrated with getting even cilantro not being so gritty, but also it doesn't last long in the fridge. It just dies within just a couple of days, which is really frustrating when you're trying to use it in a recipe too. So with this, it doesn't, it just keeps so fresh.
I don't know how you cut your cilantro, but somebody asked me, well, how do you cut cilantro? I take the whole bunch and I just cut it. I cut all of it. And then the whole bunch grows back again.
Yeah.
And so I probably cut on that bunch probably 3 times before I replaced the plant.
Yeah, I did too. And I ate on my chard too about a good 6-7 months as well before we had to replant it. So
yeah,
it was just so good. And I never was a chard fan at all. And then
I didn't even know
once we started using it on our Tower Garden, it was so much better.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was until I got my Tower Garden seeds. I was like, oh, I've never had this. I don't know if I'm going to like this, but I'll try it. And it's so good. It's good sauteed. It's good chopped in the salad. I mean, we eat it all the time now.
Yeah, I think what happens is people tend to eat more if they're growing it. And I know with kids especially, they'll do that. So I will just last show you my tower garden because I've been growing this inside since September. And I will be cleaning this out in the next few weeks because we live in the Massachusetts. So we're getting closer to outdoor growing. But you will see, and Shondaland, no comments because I don't clean mine every day like she does. But it's kind of overgrown, but this is like herbs that are crazy.
Great.
It's great. But I just had to show you these adorable tomatoes. Look how cute they are. They're teeny tiny, but they're delicious. And oops, I'll just show you. I mean, you can grow different sizes, but I love these. They're just so cute, and they're loaded. So we've got a lot of these. So you know, there are many things you can grow, and we are here to help and share ideas. So just wanted to thank you guys for being on here. And then what I'll do is I will stop the recording. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to share with you guys on the Juice Plus. If somebody orders this month the berry capsules, which there's 10 berries in this, and you would get, this is a 4-month supply, so there's 2 bottles in each. This month they're giving you a bag of gummies for free. So just wanted to point that out because I just ordered those and I was so happy to get the free gummies, and they're a delicious snack. So so we will stop well, first, does anyone have questions? I know we've talked a little bit and shared a lot of ideas, but anyone else have questions?
There was a question in the room about when you start harvesting once you plant in the tower garden, and that will vary. Like I let my seedlings get a pretty good size before I put them in my tower garden, whereas Chesley's seedlings are a little bit smaller. But I typically can start picking off of my plants within 3 weeks after they go in the tower garden, depending on what it is. Tomatoes take a little bit longer, but once your tomatoes get going, you just have tons of tomatoes. Especially if you're doing the little cherry tomatoes, and they're sweet. They're like little drops of candy. So that will vary depending on at what stage the plant is when you put it in your tower garden.
Cindy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, you know, I think Chesley mentioned how maintenance-free the tower gardens are, which is great. You know, they're on cruise control for the most part once you set it up. Except occasionally every few weeks you do have to top off the water. There's going to be some natural evaporation. So, but certainly not too onerous of a task, given how easy it is to grow on the garden without really paying much attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Shonda, you want to share just about the top off?
So I like this one with these size plants. I think the last time I put water in here, I'm putting water in when they're larger inside, maybe once every 2 weeks. I mean, not very often. Now in the summertime when it's really hot outside and the plants are big, I'm probably filling it up once a week, but it's never a full top off. There's always water in there. Even when it's in the hottest days of summer, I'm still not putting more than, you know, just maybe 3/4 of a 20-gallon tank of water in a week. I mean, it's rare that I put more than that in a week. And when you're managing the roots on the inside, you're just putting your hand in that little opening and you're just yanking those roots out. And that's the other thing you want to just be mindful of is roots are not meant to be sitting in water. And so when your tower garden starts losing water really quickly, you need to look to make sure the roots aren't sitting in there because they will suck that water up and then you'll go through water a lot quicker. So you just want to make sure that you yank the roots out, and you can use those roots in your house plants. Just cut them up. They're full of nutrients. Just put them in the house plants, or you could throw them in your garden beds, and it helps fortify the soil. Leslie, you were talking about your neighbor who had, you know, problems growing in the dirt. Well, we don't know what's in the dirt. We don't know what the dirt is lacking unless you send it off for a soil study. So we're constantly having to refortify those beds every year adding nutrients to it, where the tower garden, you don't have to guess. It's all there for you. You know, every time I top off, whatever I top off with, I measure. I always measure. And if I put 5 gallons in, then I'm putting 50 milliliters of the minerals in there.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think-
never do full minerals. Even for big plants, I always do half the amount.
Yeah, that's something really to, pay attention
I
to.
think,
Go ahead.
I think Stacy had a question.
Yeah, so is there like a reservoir that you just watch when it gets low? You fill it up to the fill line. It's not like you're growing a plant in a pot and it looks dry, so you add water. That's what I'm with you, Chesley. I can kill a cactus. So my problem is I'm either not watering enough or I'm way watering too much. So
So with
that's
the-
not a problem with the tower garden. You just fill up the reservoir and
Well, with the home, there's actually a floater in there that's got a measuring stick that pops out of the top. So it will tell you when you need to add water, but the home is a little bit different. And I personally, I like the home the best just because it's got that flat surface on it where I can put my seedlings on it, or if there's something I need to sit on there, it acts as a shelf, where the home version is more rounded corners. So it's really difficult to set things on top of it. But I will say, that I have a 5-gallon paint stick that has measurements on it that I wrote on there. And so I will stick that 5-gallon paint stick down into my reservoir and it will tell me how much water I need to add.
okay. And
That's a
as
good
far
idea.
as, I heard you say you would be able to cut your cilantro like 3 or 4 times before you had to actually replant it. How do you know when you have to replant it? It just does not reproduce?
It doesn't reproduce, it'll go to seed, it'll start bolting up.
Okay,
Like cilantro will bolt up in these really thick stems. And most of the time, you know, when you're cutting it, they're just these very thin, fine stems on them. But as the plant starts to age out, or I guess not be productive anymore, the way the stems look will change. And they'll be thick, and there'll be parts of the plant that will want to flower. And when they do that, you know it's done.
okay. Thank you.
If I could just add, Stacy, when you set up a tower garden, there's that little cover that you use to fill. And when you fill either in the Flex 20 gallons or the Home 13 gallons, you look inside and you'll see sort of where that water is. Chesley's much more Sean, you're much more scientific with that stick, I understand. But for those of us that, you know, aren't as scientific, like myself, you know, just periodically just open up that cover and you look inside and say, wow, that's a little bit lower than I originally set it up with. And you would just add water to sort of, you know, at that level. And then of course you do have to, if you are topping off water, you have to be, you know, aware that you have to add some tonic as well, the nutrients,
Right.
so that you can maintain that balance in the solution that's in the reservoir.
Okay, great. Thank you, Deb.
Sure.
I think, you know, the biggest thing I took away from starting a tower garden 8 years ago was you just have fun with it, don't stress out, and you learn as you grow. And you'll get better and you'll understand, well, my family eats a lot of this, or I eat a lot of that. So you're going to plant more of the things that you're going to eat more of, but it's fun to try new things. Like Betty had some really interesting new seeds. So I think, you know, it's fun to share seeds too, if you live close to each other. And just, we have a fun community that does this. And so you can learn a lot from a lot of different people. We have a Facebook group that you can be a part of. So I feel like we're always learning something. And even on this call, I learned something new every time. So those are great questions. Does anyone else have questions?
I will say too, if you can find somebody to share seeds with, it's always better, because the shelf life on your seeds is, I mean, after a year, I'm replacing my seeds. And so if you can find someone to do a seed share with, it will not only cut down on the cost, but you won't be throwing out seeds, because seeds lose their viability after a while. So you want to just make sure, if you're planting old seeds wondering why they don't come up, it's probably because they're too old. 9 times out of 10. So
Right. So if anybody is interested in ordering the Juice Plus or the Tower Garden, we have a little incentive. So it starts tonight, like I said, through Sunday at midnight Eastern time. And that is for the Tower Garden. You would get a gift of $20 to buy some seeds. And you could pick the company, or we have some really good organic companies that we can suggest. But the person that invited you and helps you purchase the Tower Garden would help with that. And same with the Juice Plus. We just have some fun things that we could, little giveaways if you decide to order the Juice Plus and get started on that. But I thought what we should do is stop the share and we'll do a little gift giving away for our guests. So hang on one second. Oh, let's see. Sorry.